Hi, welcome to the session number 5, tutorial number 4, which is the last tutorial for this session. Develop project team process components. In this video, we are going to look at the process components involved in this process, which is develop teams process. First, let's have a look at process inputs. The first process input that we are going to discuss is project management plan. Under project management plan, what matters for the development of project team is human resource management plan. Human resource management plan outlines the training plan and the goals, information on incentives, team communication, disciplinary procedures, and more. It guides team development, progress, and assessments lead to plan updates. It's one of the crucial documents for you to develop your project team. Another type of process input which is crucial is project documents. There are quite a few documents that have to be updated correctly during develop project team process. 1. Lessons learned. This is a living document that needs to be kept updated throughout the project life cycle. So when it comes to the develop project team process, the lessons learned need to be updated because it acts as an input within the develop project team process. Project schedule defines when activities take place influencing resources. The project schedule has to be updated by the time you start working towards developing the project team. Project team assignments. Another document that needs to be updated is project team assignments. Define staff roles and responsibilities. So any changes to the assignments and responsibilities got to be updated, and the document that represents this information is project team assignments document. Another document that needs to be updated is the resource calendars. Obviously, the activities and the resource allocations will be shown there. If you do have any changes in terms of the resources, the resource calendars should be updated. Team charter. Operating guidelines and values agreed to by all team members. Team charter will help you to drive the right decisions, right behaviors when you develop the project team. Process inputs, environmental factors. There might be various environmental factors that will act as inputs for developing project team process. Some of them would be the team member skills and competencies, geographic distribution, also other environmental factors. In order to build the right team, it is essential that we pay our attention on these things and consider them as inputs. In developing project teams, another process input that you will need to consider is organizational process assets. There are two types of process assets that need to be considered for developing a project team. Number one, historical documentation. So you need to see what is the history behind this project team. Has this team performed well in the history, in the previous projects? Based on the performance level, the issues that the team had, we need to plan building the right behavior, building the right skill set, so that as a team we will be doing better than the previous time. Also, lessons learned is another important input for developing a great project team. Lessons may include things that really worked well as well as things that did not go well for this project. Lesson learned can also be updated during the development of the project team, as and when we find learning. In agile context, we work on something called retrospection. Retrospection is a ceremony that is recommended and used by agile teams in order to inspect and adapt the process, the way that the team works, the individual's behavior. Similarly, the traditional projects can focus their attention on lessons learned. Now let's have a look at the process tools and techniques. One of the process tools and techniques used by the project teams to develop the project team is collocation. Team members work in same location. The assignments may be temporary or permanent, usually expensive than working virtually. Enhance interaction, individual connections for better performance. Virtual teams. In building teams, working towards virtual teams and another technique. However, this has pros and cons. Particularly when your project is to deal with people outside your location, virtual teams becomes an option. Team members work in different locations in virtual teams. Virtual teams may allow for utilization of more skilled resources and result in lower cost. For example, if you spot a subject matter expert living in a foreign country, getting such expertise involved in a project requirement is not very much challenging. This can be more difficult to build team rapport and hinder team communications. One of the biggest challenges in terms of virtual teams is effective communication. We may have various techniques and communication media to improve the communication, but it will not be as good as face-to-face communication experienced by the collocated teams. Some of the tools for interacting with others, particularly in virtual teams, would be shared portals, email, video conferencing, chat and messaging, and audio conferencing. These tools will greatly help in order to enhance the communication, which is an absolute must to develop high-performing teams. Previously, we discussed some of the tools and techniques for interacting with virtual teams. These tools and techniques will help you to use in any context, mainly when you have face-to-face communication. However, in virtual context, you can use all of them. Number one is conflict management. Conflict management is a technique to navigate through any conflicting situation with the aim of resolving the conflict. Second, influencing. Your ability to influence will allow you to interact with the people effectively. In terms of influencing, you need to develop some of the leadership capabilities. For you to influence, you need to have the right logic, right emotional level, and also the logic clear. Another technique that is used to interact with the people is motivation. You interact with the others with the intention of motivating them, and also negotiation. You interact such a way you could negotiate pretty much anything. Of course, in this context, towards developing an effective project team. Team building is another technique used in developing project teams process. These tools and techniques will play a great role when adapted right. Another process tool that is used in developing project teams is rewards and recognition. Effective rewards satisfy needs, provide recognition, and may be tangible or intangible. It doesn't matter. What matters is you pay the right attention, recognize your people and the team effectively. Training is another way of developing effective project teams. Training budget may be included in the project budget or covered by the organization. So you may have scheduled training. The schedule details will be shared in the resource management plan. An unplanned training generated as a response to observations and control activity results. Individuals and team assessments. It's also important to establish the right assessment framework for you individuals and the team. It helps determine strengths and weaknesses. You look at three areas: things that worked really well, things didn't go well, as well as things that the team or the individuals may continue doing. Useful in judging whether the training is effective and it's necessary. In terms of certain areas, you can initiate the training programs and coaching, also some mentoring programs. It may be also used to capture the preferences and to strengthen the communication methods. Finally, let's have a look at process outputs. So at the end of the develop project team process, there'll be a set of outputs which will become the input for the next process. Team performance and assessment is one of the major outputs coming out from develop project team. Formal and informal assessments made during team development activities. Effective development leads to greater odds of project success. So it's important that you establish the right performance mechanisms and a framework to ensure that the team performance is assessed effectively. In conducting team performance assessments, you may focus on technical, schedule, and budgetary parameters. Also, considering the behavior of the team members and the team is important. So at the end of the team performance assessments, you'll have a clear picture as to what areas that the team does well, what areas that the team should improve on, and what are the things that the team may continue. Knowing these things clearly will allow you to develop the team further. Certain signs and behaviors that is demonstrated by the team will tell you whether they are developing as a team or not. Some of the behaviors would be technical skill improvements. If the team is improving on the technical skills, that will show that the team grows. Also, staff turnover rate. If there's a lot of attrition happening, that would indicate that the team is not doing well. Team is not a proper environment for the people to retain. Team communication improvement. If you feel that team has improved its ability to communicate, that's a great sign as well. So all these things will indicate the direction that the team is leading to. During the team assessments, it's essential that you provide valuable feedback on effectiveness of development activities. When you have the one-on-ones, the individual discussions and the team discussions, as a project manager, you need to provide the constructive feedback. While you're appreciating the good things that the team and the individuals do, you also have to talk about areas that the team have to improve on. Such feedback will lead to better, more useful development activities in the future. Another process output that is produced by developed project team is change request. These changes may be on the behavior, set of procedures, the way the team needs to manage the project work. Also, it may be on direct project activities. Revisions to plans often originate from team development activities. Changes should be processed through perform integrated change control. Another process output produced by developed project team is project management plan updates. In this case, there's one document that needs to be kept updated timely, that is resource management plan. Based on what happens within the team, whether it's developing or changing, resource management plan has to be updated. Project document updates is another output produced by developed project team process. There are quite a few documents that need to be updated at the end of the developed project team process. They are lessons learned register, project schedule, project team assignments, resource calendars, and team charter. It's quite obvious why you need to keep these documents updated. Enterprise environmental factors update. So at the end of the develop project team process, it's important that you update the environmental factors as well. So there are two documents that we suggest you keep up to date. One, employee development plan updates. Based on what has happened during the develop project team process, do update employee development plan. If there are any improvements that has to happen in certain employees, that needs to be reflected in this document. Also, do a skill assessment at the end of develop project team process. As and when any change occurs, do update these documents. Another process output produced by develop project team process is organizational process assets update. There are two documents that we recommend you update. Keep them up to date. Training requirements is the first document. Based on the discussions, observations, and assessments that you have done with teams, training requirements need to be updated. Second, personal assessment. Your personal assessment needs to be kept up to date so that could be a good reference for anyone who needs to understand your perception about the current project team. Are they up to the standard? Are they lacking certain skills? Are there any area they can improve? Are important things that others need to know about. So keeping these two documents updated will allow other people and the project management team to manage the project effectively.